Yes, here we go. It's the P.M.P. 15 minutes late. I don't think that was bad. I was running out of excuses, Terry. I was thinking about, did I get my homework, all that sort of stuff. Just anything to avoid having to come on after, well, today, the most disappointing moment of the season. It's undeniable.
We just got to front up, Bhoycie. We got to front up and do it.
We got to front up, mate. I know, you're absolutely spot on. I've got my wee speakers the wrong way around now. But yeah, I mean, the thing is with today as well, why it's disappointing is, not just on the bus, but I think even the fans, not in general, not that we speak for the fans in general, but I do think there was a sort of acceptance maybe in the last week that, do you know what, we are where we are, but we're going to need to get right behind the team and support, whether we want the manager there, whether we rate these players or not, we hate the board. I think there was an acceptance in the past week that, maybe particularly because Rangers went level in points, you started going, wait now. The optics are there that this is serious. And I think there was an acceptance for everyone, let's just get behind them, give them all support. One game in, and we're back to square one. We're back to fuck. I don't even know where to begin now, Terry.
Begin. Do all that good stuff. Say hello to all
that good stuff.
All the additional
like, share, subscribe, sag the hair. The Bhoycie Bus members, 199, all that, carry on, piesports.com. Right, we're done with that, Terry.
Hi, where the hell do you start? I feel so sorry for my old man. My old man's in his mid-70s. He's up at 5:30 this morning. I've run him to the meeting point, him and his mate, and they're away over. They'll get back at 11:30 tonight, and they've just gave up a full Saturday for that pish. See, to be honest, Bhoycie, my response or the discussion that I'm going to have with you today, that goal didn't change anything. I've got stuff written down here, and that goal doesn't change any of that. 65 minutes, Joe Hart makes a save, which looked a certain goal. 71 minutes, Kelly should score. We're on the ropes. 83 minutes, Burnaby gives away a needless free. Kelly should score. We're gonna lose a goal here, and then we lose a goal, and then my next note is we should have lost another one. This was an absolute car crash. See, even if we got through this game 1-0, this team is a car crash waiting to happen. We've just, do you know the way we talk about the board sleeping at the wheel? I think we as supporters, we've also slept at the wheel as well, because I think we've just convinced ourselves that at some point this manager's going to turn this round. At some point this group of players is going to turn this round. We're good enough to get out of this. I think we've sleptwalked into this. If you step back, and I know the game's not that long over, but if you step back and look at what you've been watching for the last 6 months, it's no surprise that we're on the verge of going behind tomorrow. And it wouldn't have mattered. Kelly's goal changes the result. It changes the amount of points we get, but it doesn't change the performance. The performance was just, it's what we've been getting served up all year. It's the same slow dross. And why, and I include myself in this, why I keep thinking this is going to change, something's going to change, this is going to be different. It isn't. You've got to give credit to Rangers, and I know there's been loads of Rangers supporters sitting here having a laugh at you and me, and that's fair fucks to them. Do you know what I mean? One thing I'll say about their club is they recognised that there was no chance of them winning this title under Michael Beale. He got a couple of games. He got a couple of games, and once it became abundantly clear that he couldn't get a tune out of those players, they made a change. We seen back in the COVID season, Celtic's board didn't make that change. I'm not being wise after the event. After that Hearts game, I come on here and my first words to you were, he has to go. That was the game. That Hearts game was the final straw. And we're still sitting here months later wondering why we're about to go behind. I don't know why this manager came back. They say you should never go back. He should never have come back. I don't know. I keep thinking about that banner. Never a Celt, always a fraud. I think the first bit's not right. I think he is a Celt, but I'm really starting to think that he's a fraud. And the first time he was here, he didn't beat anything. There was nothing to beat. And I've spoke to a lot of Liverpool supporters, and rather than think about how close they got, they actually think that they should have been winning that league with the team and the squad that they had, and it's because of him that they didn't actually win it. And
I think going through his CV and then picking it up, if I'm honest, I think going through his CV now, Terry, and trying to pick it apart and find a negative angle on previous things like for Liverpool and things like that, or even when he was at Celtic before, I think's folly. Like tonight, I'm like, there's 432 live, by the way. I just think we've got to look at where it's went wrong. Today in particular,
that we're sucking up. It's the same rhetoric every single week about mentality and intensity. It's just absolute piss. He's just a fucking bullshitter. He's an absolute bullshitter.
Now, yeah, I agree. I think right now there's so many issues. There's so many layers. But today, I've got to be consistent, and I've basically been the absolute example of inconsistency all season. Marc nailed it on Thursday when he says, I've never felt so up and down through a season. Because even on Thursday, we were sitting there going, but would any other manager we could have attracted, with all the other stuff going on, be able to have got us to joint top of the league? Would they not be further behind? And you're going, oh yeah, maybe he's doing all right. Then you watch today and you go, fuck, man, like anything would be better than this.
Do you remember a conversation last week, Bhoycie? Yep. And I just suggested for a bit of jest, who's more likely to get us over the line, Brendan or Lenny? And then I got a lot of ridicule because people actually thought I was maybe saying that Lenny was a better manager. That wasn't what I was saying. But the point I was trying to make is I think we need to change something to reverse this decline that's happening this season. That was the point I was trying to make. And I mean, look at Kelly. Derek McGuinness has got the better of this man 3 times this season. Yep. I know that was a draw today, but that's a victory to go to Celtic Park and get a draw.
I mean, see, and we will talk about this. We're going to labour the fact that we don't think the quality Celtic are bringing on for the bench is anyone's got faith in, even in the starting 11 at times. I don't think this team matches up to Brendan's side first time around. I don't think it matches up to many other eras, many other generations of teams that we've all been accustomed to. To me, it's like Ronnie Dyler second season sort of vibes you're getting. In terms of the quality in the park, you really feel there's been a regression. Okay. Even Ida, I don't want to slag him off in a bad way, but I go, recent memory tells me the guy who was there to fill your role only 12, 18 months ago is a massive downgrade you are from that. And that's recent history, let alone going back to when Lowell first came in and it was Sutton was one of the first guys he gets rid of and stuff, And you're going, that was the real deal as that guy. Now we've just went down and down. And Giakoumakis to me was not always quality, but all the traits Giakoumakis had, you thought today, fuck, they're way, way more tools. And that's not me being personally against that. I think he's given his all. I just think in terms of quality and level of player, he's a downgrade. But let's talk about Terry first and foremost here.
Let's do the match. Let's do the match like we normally do, boys. Take it back to the team lineup, take it back to the match, and see the team lineup. I felt he was going to go with something similar to the last time because I think he's just been punting for something that might work. And we got a result with this Kyogo. We've kind of dubbed it as a 2 strikers, but see, today it wasn't. It was the same formation. It was just Kyogo was playing in the 10 and he was playing 15 to 20 yards off Ida. And to me, he was taking up the spaces that O'Reilly would have normally been taken up. And I don't think it was a genuine 2 up top.
Totally agree. And I think there's confusion in the message, mate. I think at times, even the commentary team said, this is a great point you've raised. Oh, I'll just talk to myself, Terry, as soon as I want to chat to him. But yeah, I mean, from my point of view, Kyogo is finding himself in positions that doesn't equate to what would have been 2 up top. There's dropping deep, there's playing in the hole, and then there's almost, I think, for Kyogo's point of view, a desperation to get in the ball. I don't blame him for that because the lack of touches he's had this season, he's been isolated, he's barely been involved in so many games. The reason they've changed it is to get him more involved, but is he doing it in the right areas where he can, actually contribute to and dictate outcomes? He picks up that header. It's a beautiful header when he's pulled away at the far post. Ralston with the assist, and it was good to see that as well. No worries, Terry. Luckily, I'm a pro, mate. I didn't even flinch, mate.
I
Didn't even
know.
flinch.
No, do you know what it was,
Let's talk
Bhoycie?
about Kyogo, mate. Well, no, you've
Go
missed a
ahead.
bit now, so you can catch up, right? So I was talking about when Kyogo's been found in wee pockets of space. See, for the header, that's a prime example of him ghosting in and doing exactly what, in my mind, would be the point of this formation and this lineup in terms of playing Ida and Kyogo at the same time. Then there was other moments, and even the commentary team on Celtic TV picked it up when they were like, he's out in the left wing. Like, he's miles away from the action.
Yeah.
And I don't know if he's... I don't know what the role has been defined as, Terry, but I think there needs to be more clarity in it. And I think there's a lack of... I think there's a lack as well of just saying, we're going to play 4-4-2. I think there's a fear of managers to say that in 2024 because it's dinosaur, it's prehistoric stuff. But really, give them at least the clarity in what their role's going to be. Instead, I found Kyogo a man that, with having Ida on the park, it allowed him to do what he's probably been wanting to do for the last 6 months, and that was get on the ball any ways and any means necessary. And that meant he was all over the park, trying to pick it up as much as he can and get involved. What I would say as well, in terms of his quality, if he is playing the Matt O'Reilly role at sometimes, I watched him play a chest-high ball to Yang, mate, at the edge of the box. Doesn't need to play it that high. And I'm like, that's not really a level either, to be honest with you. Poor.
Kyogo's a finisher, Bhoycie. He needs to be the focal point. He needs to be the front man. I don't want to see this lad picking the ball up 40 yards from his own goal. I really, really struggle. Do you know what I mean? I want to back every Celtic player, but again, go back to the manager. He talked about bringing in quality in January. We've brought in a winger. I don't see that Kuhn is any better than Mikey Johnson. I don't see the point in bringing him in and letting Mikey Johnson go out. I just don't see it. I might be wrong. This guy might be a brilliant player. I just don't see it. I make snap judgments. Some people, I got Bernardo wrong. Well, I think I got Bernardo wrong, and then I thought I had him wrong, and now I'm not so sure. But Kuhn's no better than Mikey Johnson. I'll tell you that right here and right now. And see, Ida, as much as people are kind of pinning their hopes in this guy because he scored a couple of penalties, I'm not convinced by him at all. And folk are saying, but he's occupying the defenders. Fucking Hoopy, the huddle hound, could occupy the defenders just by standing there and looking stupid and flapping about. This guy brings nothing to the party. He'll not score 5 goals from open play between when he signed and the end of the season. There's absolutely no chance. The 2 players we brought in January, in a window where the manager stressed that he wanted quality, and this is me backing the manager, those 2 guys are so far off it. See, Ida, I'll be honest with you. I think he's Chris Killen levels, Amido Baldi levels. So what? If he can hold off a defender? That's not what we need from a centre forward. We need a centre forward.
That's the thing.
We need a centre forward who's going to score 30 goals a season.
But this is it though, Terry. See, because of his profile as a player, he brings you different options. You're like, yes, but those options aren't getting then executed at any sort of level.
Doesn't bring me anything I want to see.
And I go back to it. This is the most tired argument because people are doing it though. I think Ida even more so because O's a project player who should never have been getting compared with someone who was a first-team squad member like Giakoumakis, a top scorer for the year before. But Ida has came in to impact the league outcome this year. That's the facts. And I go, see if you... It's easy to hark back to, the glory days or whatever when you think the Celtic squad did have real quality. Go back 18 months and you look at the difference between Giakoumakis and Ida. That is regression in front of your eyes, Terry. That is literally the definition of downgrading in essential positions on a football park that dictate as well outcomes. This title's on a knife edge, and we've decided to strengthen our ranks, bringing a player that is not as good as the one we sold 18 months ago for, in the modern day, bear in mind as well, chump change. People want to put it on Postecoglou, and they say it's because he fell out with them and his ego was too big, whatever. See, the way it's still a disgrace on the board, you would sell a guy like that for £4 million. And again, What is it you've replaced him with since? £2 million who neither manager rated, judging by the minutes he gets in the park, and a Norwich City loan. That's who you've replaced, a guy who was top scorer 2 years ago. That's not supporting Kyogo. That's leaving him hung out to dry. Do you know what I mean?
And Bhoycie, that represents the attitude of Lowell and Nicholson, who sat at the AGM and made cheap jokes about Rangers. They were sitting at that point with a cushion in the league. They were sitting they were trying to make fun of Rangers. And I know there'll be lots of Rangers supporters on here, and the message is the same as it was 10 minutes ago. Fair fucks to you, sit on here and laugh through this, because we deserve this. Lowell and Nicholson were sitting there pouring ridicule and trying to make out as if they were smart bastards. They don't look so fucking smart now. They bring in two players who are absolutely nowhere near the quality that we needed to bring in January. We needed 2, 3, possibly 4 to get this league even done. We needed 4 players who were going to go straight into that first team and nail down their positions. That's where we were at, and that's because of how poor the previous window was. You and I spoke last week, 7 days ago, about the back line. Look at that back line today. The only difference was Burnaby out for Taylor, Ralston, Welsh, Scales, Taylor. I'll say the same things I did last week. That's a Hibs defence. That's a St Johnstone defence. See what I think it... I honestly think, see if Burnaby hadn't come on in 60, we might have got over the line today. We might have been able to paper over the cracks. But the amount of mistakes that guy made in that 30 minutes when he was on. Now, did Taylor do anything spectacular? No. But Burnaby was just a car crash. An absolute car crash for those 30 minutes he was on. Every time he got the ball, something went wrong. Every time somebody attacked him, something went wrong. He was giving away free kicks. But
do you not think it tells you everything, Terry? Quite clearly the plan was anything to get Greg Taylor an hour. See if we're at the level, and please don't, again, this is not I know Liam the Punk Duck, Greg Taylor's his least favourite player. I'm not in that same boat, to be honest with you. I think he is an average player in an average squad, right? But do you know what? The desperation of this first team, Terry, was, could you do an hour for us, Greg? That's where we're at now. We need him to do an hour. So it was a premeditated sub, that, in my opinion. It was always going to happen. See if you had any faith in the guy coming on. You just say to Greg, we'll get you back in the team when you get to 90-minute level, yeah? Fucking hell, man. You know what I mean?
Why bring him on? I mean, Taylor didn't appear.
He's not fit enough. That's what I'm saying. There's been a decision. Can we get 60 minutes at you, Greg?
I get that, but Greg Taylor at 20% is fucking better than that car crash coming on and giving away free kick after free kick after free kick. Whenever every ball that goes into our box looks as if it's going to end up in the net. You've Clark Kent and Nets fucking coming out. What was he doing? The 46th minute now. I know he made one excellent save. I'll give him that. But what was he doing? It was 30 seconds into the second half. There's a ball that's coming straight at him, head height, just for a catch. And he's coming out like Superman and punching it out for a corner, which again is another chance for a ball into our box. I just don't know what this team's doing. It's just imploding. We need to make a change here, Bhoycie.
Yep.
I don't see any way this team and this manager, and we can't change the squad at this point, which again I'm really frustrated about, because with a window, we've got a player in Lee Labada, and once the window shuts, him and the manager decide he's not able to play, and there's probably no prospect of him playing anytime soon. So what's changed now in the middle of February that wasn't there in January? If we were in a position where there was a chance that he was going to be ruled out for any length of time, and I get that, I'm not playing down the issue, but what I'm saying is that issue hasn't changed throughout the course of August.
It applies to numerous positions
in January, but as soon as the window shuts, then this player's not available. That nothing's changed from January. We should have been smarter around that, but we can't change any of the players. We've blown an 8-point lead, and I don't care what way the manager tries to dress it up that it wasn't 8 points. It was 8 points earlier in the season. This team, this manager are not going to get this job done now. They're not, and I know we've got 2 Rangers games. The Rangers games aren't the problem, Bhoycie. We've already shown that.
You said that before.
Yeah,
you said that before.
We're sitting here now, and we've won both of those games. and we're about to go behind tomorrow. And do you know what? Rangers might not win tomorrow, and if that happens, that's just pure luck. That's nothing. That's outside of what we're interested in. We're interested in Celtic. If Rangers don't get the job done tomorrow, which I'm sure today's result will mean they will, they'll score in the first 5 minutes because they'll be up for it, and they've pressed the button. They've got a manager in who has got a tune out of an average squad. Let's be honest. I don't see any way that we can recover this with what we've got right now. And that's the point I was trying to make last week. I wasn't saying Neil Lennon's a better manager than Brendan Rodgers. What I was saying was, I'm not convinced Brendan can get this over the line.
See if there's a momentum. See if momentum drives you to a title, Terry. Right? Let's just say it's a momentum. Brendan Rodgers is stuck in second gear. And I know what you meant. You were going, Lenny's full throttle. And for 12 games, it might work. Do it over 3 seasons, and it goes off it scares off the motorway. Do you know what I mean? It cashes in.
I probably didn't describe it.
I know what you meant. I know what you meant. Don't worry, I've defended you.
It was like bring in something for impact. Bring in somebody
because the pace of whatever side momentum Rodgers is going at is so fucking. It's like a pedal boat we're on right now. That's the pace we're going at. You're like, fucking hell, man. And the thing is, see today, as much as we could talk about the lack of quality in the squad, right?
There was enough quality to beat Kilmarnock.
Imagine Derek McInnes having those options. He's at their first world problems. Like, let's get real here. And that frustrates me as well.
Yeah, absolutely. The players that are there, there's nobody in that Kilmarnock team would get anywhere near our squad. We should be getting the job done. And we're just not. We just don't look like we just don't look like scoring enough goals, boys. And if you don't score enough goals, if you're sitting on a 1-0 lead, and we had this a couple of weeks ago where we scored in the first minute with Alistair Johnson's deflected shot. If you're not scoring the goals and putting the game to bed, you're always leaving yourself open. And I think there's a slight argument around was Burnaby pushed? I don't give a fuck. We put ourselves in that position. If he was pushed, he was pushed. He should have been stronger. You were never going to get that. There was never any way in this world that John
Peter Grant, man, like see when he's
never any way in this world that
shut up, mate.
We're gonna do anything. I'm part of the problem. Always wanting to go back to my ex.
I had to bring that up. I'm not even gonna have a ding dong with you this week. I'm just gonna let the viewers do it for me, Terry. But Jade says always want to go back to your ex.
That's the problem.
I don't think that was the point. What Terry was talking about was in terms of that profile, that type of manager. Lenny being a recent example of someone who goes, let's pick things up, let's start going into first gear, fifth gear. You know what I mean? Because right now, Rodgers, it's just like we're just going in slow motion, mate. And the draws, see at 1-0, we're the only Celtic team I can remember that goes at 1-0. You think we'll kill this game off? What?
Even though I've already explained what I meant, I'm still getting ridiculed for the same thing. Swap Neil Lennon, bring in fucking Mike Bassett, bring in anybody, just somebody else to give a different message from the same boring rhetoric of mentality and intensity and character and all that pish that we've been listening to, and fucking it's just absolute nonsense. That I genuinely do think, Bhoycie, and I love Rodgers, and he's off a fucking picture there that I paid £100 to get off over my shoulder, and I love him. And I fell for all the stuff the first time round, and I fell for it a wee bit at the start of the second time round. But see, the more I talk to people that support Liverpool, and the more I think about it, and the more you watch, see the press conference every week. It's just managerial speak. It's just words, and those words and what we are saying during the 90 minutes every single week, they don't match up, and that then means that those words are meaningless. They're just pish. And honestly, God, I just think he's an absolute pish talker, and he'll not be at Celtic next year one way or another.
Yeah, so, I agree with that. I don't think he will either.
Given that that's the case, we need to press the button right now on Saturday at 18:14, because he's not going to be here next year, win or lose, and we're not going to get this job done if we keep doing what we've been doing this season. And I don't know what that means. I think We've got to bring in somebody just to get a reaction for these next, I think it's 12 matches. We've 12, to me it was 13 cup finals. And at 1-0, I was thinking, do you know what? If this is the cup final and we get over the line, then you win the cup. But we've got to win these next 12 games, and I just don't see how he's going to be able to do it for us. And I've absolutely no doubt he'll talk himself into another good job with loads of cash, because that's just what he is, and that's
as I say, I don't think going through his CV, particularly in a moment like this, is going to be a balanced conversation. I think all the negative angles, there's so many other ones that you can turn into. Like, that's quite impressive as well. But
just generally look at it. What is the most impressive thing on his CV? It's probably getting Swansea through the playoff final.
I would say the FA Cup with Leicester, the two fifth place finishes with Leicester. See, if Ange finishes fifth with Spurs this year, you'll get loads of respect for finishing fifth with Spurs this year. To do it with Leicester, oh, come on. I can't be bothered even going into it.
Well, he finished fifth with a team that had already won the league.
Oh, come on, like 5 years before that. It wasn't the same. Anyway, I can't be bothered getting into it. I just think, see, when you're annoyed with...
I know, it's all emotional.
The views are, yes, it's not a balanced view.
No,
I don't dispute.
No, but honestly, it's emotional, and the guy is
exactly, mate.
The guy is obviously a quality manager. He is.
Yeah.
And he has proven that, and I'm emotional and I'm hurt.
Which I totally get, by the way.
Despite the fact that I do actually think I've called him a fraud, but I do think he talks pish, right? That's
well, so do I. Do you know what? See the pish when we were winning, Terry. We lapped it up.
Yes, you lap it up.
I mean, you was pish then as well. So like, let's have it right.
Keep pishing on me.
Let's have it right. Like, see folk getting now like, oh, Brendan Rodgers talks shit now, eh? And I'm like he told the Danny McGrain story that even when it got busted at the time, we were like...
He just said, no, Dan.
We're like, that's brilliant, because we're winning. So let's have it right. Like, it's all about this fucking... It's all about bad results. The same way it's always been, really. The same way we take guys off the board is because of defeats or winning. That's how it works, mate.
What he's been saying and what we've been seeing, they don't match up. He's talking...
They never have.
No. But they probably did, because back then when we were beating Rangers 5 with Dembele and a really let's face it, Rangers were playing in the SPL with a championship team. Back then he could say whatever he wanted, and it sounded great, and the performances and the results were matching up. But this time it's not matching up. The words that are coming out of his mouth, even from the very moment he walked in, when he talked about making a dent in Europe, when he talked about this, that, and the other, what we actually seen didn't marry up. And it probably got glossed over because we built up a cushion, because Michael Beale was an even bigger shit talker than Brendan was. But because Rangers, as they tend to do, they go for it. They go for it with money they don't have. They went for it with the manager. They decided quite quickly, Beale ain't getting this job done. We're going to press the button. Celtic don't press the button. And
it's a proactive decision, isn't it? It's proactive because I think as well, see with Rangers, they also know they make terrible decisions quite a lot. So the chances are higher that they'll have got one wrong. Celtic, though, in this mad fucking ivory tower they sit in this board.
Double down.
They think they get everything right, so they're like, oh, it'll play out. We'll do better. So that every decision Celtic make that we see as a positive one is always reacting to something that's happened that's been terrible. They never build for a position of strength, Terry. They never get it right that way. Everything's reactive. I just want to pick up very quickly as well, because I know we've got 900 live right now, Terry. You did say before we went on, it'll probably get to 1,000 today, right? No problem. But Cool Daddy, regular viewer and that, and he's like, where's the moderator? Get the scum off you. I mean, look, mate, like, we do this as a hobby, pal, right? Let's be real. I'm only one man. Like, I've got a full-time job. I'm trying to speak with Terry live. There's a million comments coming in. I maybe missed some, mate. Do you know what I mean? It's just the way it goes. Do you know what I mean?
I don't.
I can only apologise. See, if we're going too far, fair enough, right? Fair enough. But come on, like, throw me a bone. Like, it's not that easy, man. You know what I mean? But anyway, back to the football. Terry, at the end of the game, Brendan still insisted on doing the walk round the park and the clapping of the supporters. And there was a brief Lowell get to fuck. And then it turned into sack the board. And yet Brendan's still kind of like clapping them at the same time. And I'm like, this is getting a wee bit weird.
Well, I'll tell you, seeing that was happening, I just went like that, and it goes, get to fuck. He was standing there, teeth gleaming, patting the guys in the back and all. I just goes, do you know what am I fucking watching here? They should have been absolutely embarrassed. They should have been straight up that tunnel to fuck out the road. There was no point in them walking around the pitch to applaud the crowd. The crowd weren't fucking there anymore. They were gone, and any ones that were there were booing. Do you know what? It is funny the way when you're winning the game, the fans are all singing, and the minute it goes wrong, it's Lowell's the first one. He's the first one to get it every single time. And I understand that, and I get it.
The timeline of events is incredible with him, though. It's extraordinary when you look at it and you go, and I actually don't think, I'll be honest, I don't think he was particularly absent at any point in the first place. I don't think Celtic's strategy changed. I think we went from a place of 20, 30 points behind, then a 13 million defender sold, an 18 million striker. Guess what? We're going to need reinforcements. I thought that, and because we got the manager in at such late notice, the whole thing was a bit hash bash, and they had to take punts. They would never normally do that. And I just think it's back to however it was before. And
I think it's totally.
Peter Lowell gets it tight, mate. But Peter Lowell, anyone who thinks he came back, why would he retire then to come back as this ineffective, non-influential, non-executive director? See, if you've just retired within that a year of retirement, you've came back to just to sit about and do fuck all just as a non-exec. Shut up, mate. Do you know what I mean? Leave that out. Do you know what I mean, Terry? It's just bullshit.
I know, Bhoycie, but despite nobody can be absolved of blame here. The board are very, very much to blame in terms of, we talked about the quality that was brought in January. We've talked at length about the 9 mostly misfits that were brought in during the summer. That's a collective. That's the board, the recruitment department, the manager who signs off players and then realizes after he signed them off they don't have any of the attributes that he's looking for.
Jerry, I want to quickly jump in there right on that. So see in the summer, remember he said the comment about I'll see you back here in May?
That's going to be played a lot.
Of course, and rightfully so. I see when you combine that with this attitude that, hey, are you telling me you're bringing me 9 players that are 2-3 million? I'll walk the league with that. I think they both now kind of go hand in hand of someone who hasn't realised like our rivals are stronger than they were before. I think, definitely. And in terms of the league, I don't know.
The rest of the league's
maybe you're not quite the force. You're not going to come in with the impact you did first time round either. And I think there's been a bit of arrogance going, oh yeah, I signed off on all of them. You know, I got the final say. I'm like, did you fuck? But you were complacent in that. And you were a wee bit, well, to say the least, arrogant to go, I'll see you back in May. What he was trying to do was going, bit of charisma, eh? Still got it? And you're like, nah, mate. No. And it's not worked out. These actions and words will come back to haunt him, I think. And I do believe in that wee spell, summer, going into the season, where you're signing off on players you've not watched at all, blatantly obvious, with the £8 million worth of centre-backs that can't get a look in, for example. And you say, we'll see you back in May. That's not a man who's really scanned the whole environment that he's just walked into, in my opinion. I think that'll come back to haunt him. And that's poor management.
Well, so you can see the snippets come May. There's going to be Lowell and Nicholson making the jokes at the AGM, and there's going to be Rodgers talking about see you in May, and there's going to be Rodgers talking about every manager I've gone up against the Rangers are coming. All these are going to come back. There's going to be snippets of all these little things. We've been totally arrogant about where we're at. as a club, we've misjudged the quality that we actually have in the team. We've misjudged the fact that the opposition isn't that far behind. We've misjudged that the rest of the league is so poor that Rangers they're not going to drop points very much to anybody else. And then the actual, as I'm saying that, I'm going back to my point. We've won the 2 games against Rangers, and we're still about to go 2 points behind because we haven't been able to beat the rest of the league, which, as Mark quite rightly says, is as weak as it's ever been. And we've blown this league in home games at Celtic Park against the weaker teams in this league. That's what's happened here. If you go through this season, you get to middle of February, you've won both derbies, but you're behind in the league. You wouldn't believe that. You wouldn't believe it.
I think you take a football fan from any other country in Europe right now, or in fact anywhere in the world, and they don't know the ins and outs of Celtic Rangers, and then you just show them season ticket sales, balance sheets, and then maybe the previous decade of trophies, and you go, and then you compare it with obviously your rivals, and you look at all that, and you say, do you think anyone could manage them and win that league? You go, oh, fuck, they've got all the tools there. No one would believe we could be able, not just one window though, it's the second one. See, to do it again in January, you're going, the arrogance is unbelievable. Now, here's a Rangers fan coming in, and I'm going to just bring it up because I kind of agree. We had 13 years of free reign to rack up trophies. You did that for the most part domestically when Rangers were a shambles, absolutely. European embarrassments aside, I kind of agree with that too. I think the amount of times we failed to even tool up for playoffs in Europe was shocking. Check the trophy count though, boys. Well, I know you've only got 2 or something like that, mate, but I get the rest of it though. The rest of it, Maximus, I think, is right. And I don't mind them coming in and having a pretty balanced view there. It's honest. We've had a free run at it.
Yeah.
We should have been further in sight than the 70 million. That's the best bit. People go, oh, you can't spend 70 million, Terry. I'm like that. What the fuck? See if we'd actually utilised and maximised, I should say, the positions we've been in over the 13 years that Maximus is talking about there, we'd have way more in the bank than 70 million. They'd all still shit the bed at spending 5 million, these wee fannies, honestly.
See, what happens this summer now? So say I'm right. Say Rangers go on to win the title. What do you think happens during the summer? Dermot appears, gives his moustache a wee rub, and we go out and spend money.
Change manager, that's it.
Because we react. We react.
Change manager.
Change manager and give cash.
It won't. I doubt it. I think it was very similar.
We always react. Whenever Rangers get the better of us, Dermot comes on the scene, gives us a wee moustache a rub, and money is spent. Money's thrown at it whenever we're behind.
Yeah, they'll be
never thrown at it.
Well, do you know what, Terry? I take it back. It'll depend on what Rangers do. And that's how sad and tragic the ideology of this board is.
Every single
so
time.
if we were to say we don't win the league in the summer, I think there'll be change anyway. The manager will go. I think if they can get away with it, they'll keep everyone else, right? That's what they do.
He needs to go tonight.
They'll keep the laptop, the iPad, they'll keep Strachan, they'll keep Kennedy, they'll keep the guys in the boardroom, but they may well change. I think the manager will definitely change, right? However, what they'll do money spending wise will be based on how aggressive Rangers are. See if they were to win the league and they get that 60 million. I promise you the only way Celtic ramp up their spending is based on what Rangers do. That is tragic to me. See what Rangers do has no basis in what Celtic do. You've got to give them that. Like as frustrating as it is, don't get me wrong, they went bust. I'm bored of clinging on to that though forever, mate. Like we're talking about the here and now. And if they get 60 million for this Champions League qualification, how much is that owed to the face painter? Nobody knows. I'm going to guess they're going to have a pretty kitty to spend. And I reckon they'll be willing to spend a fair percentage of it and a higher one than us.
From the minute they died, Bhoycie, Celtic have just been breathing life into them. Honestly. And I was lucky enough to be at a lunch one day at Celtic Park, and some of the greats of yesteryear were there, and you got a chance to sit and have a chat with them and all the rest. But one of the guys said to me, it didn't say to me, he was talking, there was about 8 of us at the table, and he said that Celtic make the most money whenever Celtic and Rangers are sharing titles. And he said, I'm not saying that we let them win, but the people in charge aren't that bothered when Rangers get an odd title, because history has shown that Celtic make the most money whenever it's nip and tuck and it's to and fro. And that has stuck with me a lot. I didn't pay much attention to it at the time.
It's too murky for me, that.
I didn't pay much attention to it at the time, but
the resistance to let Rangers get punished with, why are we even going down this road? But anyway, very quickly, the resistance, they didn't really want Rangers to be out the top league in the get-go, Celtic. They didn't want that. To let it go as far as saying, oh, we don't mind them winning titles, I think that's too far. And I think that's almost when you get into then,
this
so
was
we've not done anything wrong.
This was
so the strategy is okay. So everything we're doing is fine. It's because we've let them. That's then not being accountable and respond. Like, let's get back to why are we not? We should be winning the titles. Why aren't we? Rather than, well, if the board don't mind, I don't agree with anything the board do anyway. So even if that was true, it'd be just another example of disagreeing with these bastards because they're all pricks. Do you know what I mean?
Right. So here's one, Bhoycie, that the guys on the Blether a couple of weeks came up with, and it was something I already had in my head. And far be it from me, we've kind of been talking, what can supporters actually do? Because nobody's going to give up their season book, and I totally get that. And listen, me sitting over here going to a couple of games a season is never going to tell anybody how to support Celtic. But I had already thought about the possibility of what I think it was Phil and Marc, and they were chatting about. I think it was Phil had said, right, nobody's going to give up their season book. That would be ridiculous. But what if all supporters groups get together and they just turn around and say, whatever European competition we're in next season, you don't buy the match package. You don't buy it. We just don't buy it. Those 3 games, 4 games, whatever it is, you don't buy it. So you get your season book, you keep your seat, you do all that. But as a complete supporter base, you don't buy it. And we talked about the Champions League because I think, let's be honest, we thought we were going to be in that. You just don't buy that package and you don't go to those games and you let that stadium sit empty and the Champions League music is blaring and there's not a sinner there. And that's something I had thought about. And again, it's not for me to tell anybody how to support Celtic, but I thought that was...
Do you think that'd have an impact?
I thought
I think it would. Another angle, though. What's one of the main questions that have been asked? What's that 70 million or whatever it is now sitting there for? What if it's just a fact that it means you can't shift us? See, when you're sitting in such a position of strength, if you want influencers by Champions League tickets, for example, only 20-30% of fans will buy into that vision that you've just given there, Terry. The financial impact can be balanced out by the reserves they've got. They have built trenches, mate, and they are in a very secure position. I'm not quite sure how you go about getting them out for the top. I don't envisage it happen anytime soon, honestly.
apart from lashing the railings in through the door and all that. But see, even if that happened, Bhoycie, they probably would turn around and put a spin on it. That's why we've been saving these reserves, because periodically supporters don't turn up to games and we have to budget for that. They probably would spin it that they've covered it. I think
the 70 million gives them a... Wow, it is going to take something special to get rid of us, boys. Roll up, and bring your sharks. That's how it feels like. You're like, fuck. Because the biggest problem I've got with it all is we're 2 years delayed in all this shit, Terry. There was a 2-year absence, and it's Ange Postecoglou, for the brilliance he brought, has brought so many other problems, not his fault in the slightest, but by being as competitive as we were with Ange in the league, as being as sort of captivating, he took everyone's eyes off the board. He stopped the issues that were still prevalent. And I think in his second season, they started coming to light again. He was like, I'm fucking for the off-ski. And that's the reason why apparently his agent had been pestering Spurs for 3 months. Apparently that was how it went. That Daniel Levy obviously wasn't that familiar with him, and it was the agent that was pushing that one. He wanted out, is the vibe I get. And guess what? We're now back to where we felt about the board. Those feelings, for some reason, we parked, and we parked them all for one man, Terry. Ange Postecoglou, you're like, as much as I love him, fucking hell, it's a nightmare now.
In terms of him, Bhoycie, I think he's got a 1 in 2 chance of getting the Liverpool job. I think it's between him and Alonso. Honest to God, I do. He'll not care about Spurs. We know that he's ruthless. If he gets the opportunity to go to Liverpool, he'll take it. If Alonso doesn't want it, Ange Postecoglou will be the next Liverpool manager next season. I'll tell you that here and now. I was going to say something there, and I've totally just talked myself out of it. What were we talking about before that? Yes, this is it. I've remembered. Mark was talking about, I think it was the Thursday night show. Were you in the Thursday night with Mark? Yeah. You were talking about
just me and Mark, huh?
Yeah, you were talking about Mark Lowell, and Mark made an excellent point. This guy is about recruitment, and there's strong rumours that he's going to be gone in the summer. What's he actually doing there now? And if his job's recruitment and he's going to be gone, surely anything he wants to do in terms of recruitment is meaningless, because he's not going to be there to see that through. Wind that on 3 days, 2 days. This manager isn't going to be here next season. What is the point in this manager being here after today? Because nothing he does.
You're drawing the same parallels. Yeah, I get you. And that then gets you into, you need a manager who can just sort of jump in and be a.
I actually do think. I think if he wins it, he will be here next season. But I don't think there's any way he'll be there. I don't see us winning this. Honestly, I hate saying it. I don't see any way. I've looked at it from every angle, from a supporter, from a gambler, from a football person who thinks they can, they've got a good experience of the game. No matter what way I look at this, I don't see us winning this. And as much as I'm an eternal optimist, I just can't see a way that we win this now.
I'm not going to go as far as that, but it's not because there's a complacency level in my mind. I think the performances, you look back at it over the season, have been disappointing. Some of the results, though, I think contradict some of the other criticisms that happen. When I factor in all the other stuff that I have been consistent of, I think are negatives, I go, there's some backdrop to be, the Celtic manager and the team working. Like, when you look at it, you go, other ones may be miles off it by now. Maybe that's the case. Just, it's a definite fair point, though, to bring to the table. It's balanced, Terry. Now, though, I just worry. As I say, I go back to it. The pace of whatever momentum Celtic have, and right now it's in the overdraft as it is. It just feels to be a bit slow with that. We stop starts. We moments of going, is he? Box office. Brendan was getting described in the past week, and then we put in that. There's no box office about it, but we're getting full starts every now and then. Do we need a speedboat to get us through to the end of the season?
Well, so if we change it right now, you have a chance of getting that new manager bounce, which is 3, 4, 5, 6 games in a row of everybody's uplifted, everybody, whatever he's saying to these guys, it ain't working. It's not working. It doesn't matter if he's saying it in English or Spanish or whatever language he thinks he's able to speak. It's not working. If we change it right now, like let's wind on tomorrow. And I could be wrong, but tomorrow, come 5 o'clock, I think we're 2 points behind with 12 games to go and 2 games against them. I also think we're going to get absolutely shit on after the split, because by that time we'll already have played the 6 strongest teams in the country away from home twice, which means we'll probably play 2 or 3 of them away from home for a third time. That's the way it goes. Aberdeen won't make the top 6, and Aberdeen away is one of the harder games. But if we change it right now, we still have a chance of pulling this off. But there's absolutely no way you or me are going to wake up tomorrow morning and we'll have changed it. The board
San
won't do
Fran
it.
Celtic's
Too
nailed it though,
expensive.
Terry.
Too
How
expensive.
about you
to
read
do
you
it.
the screen?
Do you know what? I don't. No. Listen.
I
listen.
love it. Oh, mate.
No. Listen.
If you need the momentum shift to go, I'll start it. If Keane got the job, I've been loving life, mate.
I don't think Roy Keane's the man to manage Celtic long term. But I go back
to get you over that line.
It's back to the same thing.
Oh, I would love it.
He comes in next week. He comes in next week. We've got a chance of winning the league. Brendan Rodgers is there next week. We've no chance of winning this league. No chance. These players and his message are just polars apart. It ain't happening. His football's too slow. It's too boring. Again.
And once that tag, I think you get, whether it's fair or unfair, of being dated and things like this, they're hard to shake off, whether they were warranted or not. And I think that's just what happens. I think like that's happened to loads of managers over the years. But the funny thing with Keane is, the reason this show is called the Bhoycie Bus, remember?
Yeah.
Is because the wee fella randomly said one day, he goes, "Are you on the Keane bus? Are you on the Bhoycie Bus?" And I went, "Pfft." So I was like, "I'll fucking use that." Do you know what I mean? That was
just when you're on that. I know. Obviously, you don't watch it anymore. I do watch it.
Listen, man.
And no, I do watch it, and I do enjoy it. And I've never, no matter whatever went on between you and those guys.
I'm glad you said that. You come in here and a paper cut or something, mate. Honestly,
no matter what went on between you and those guys, I've always said I watch all the pods. I enjoy 95% of them. And I do enjoy that one. I do enjoy that one, but there was a reference about 3 weeks ago to a bus, and I just wanted to grab the video there and then, but I'm a technophobe.
What did they say?
I didn't know. There was something where there was a reference to "I'm on that bus," and I just wanted to try and grab it. But
he must hate everything he says. But that's what it was about Roy Keane. But I mean, again.
That's what it's
the
going
fact
to take.
That's getting brought up, and there's some folk in the chat already going, I would take Keane. And not in a bad way, right? But look at
I would take anybody. I would take anybody except the one.
Let me get there. But you're going, we're talking about regression in positions in the park. It's another like drop down, and like, how are we in this situation where we've went for the guy who's now at Spurs, a guy who's finished 5th, won FA Cups down south, like what was invincible treble winning manager at Celtic only 6 years ago. How are we now going to Roy Keane and thinking maybe that would work? You're like, fucking hell, man.
Listen to me. If Brendan stays to the end of the season, do we win this league? One answer, yes or no?
Ooh.
My answer's no. Wholeheartedly no. I hope I'm wrong. I absolutely hope I'm wrong. I'll cut it and I'll even play it back to myself.
I'm really torn on it now. And
let me ask you a different question.
Go on.
If Martin O'Neill comes in tomorrow morning, do we win this league? Yes or no?
No.
We fucking do.
No.
Yes, we do.
The young players wouldn't react to him the same way. This is the. I mean, if I was.
What young players?
That team would not react to Martin O'Neill the way that I would like them to.
What young players are you talking about?
Well,
what young players?
Terry. They're all young
players.
Well, you know what I mean. They wouldn't get it with that. I don't get it with that, mate. I think, but again, you can't just keep bringing in like students of the game either. But I don't know. There's something though. You're right. There's some sort of there's an injection of energy and mojo that is required right now. I wouldn't go back to around the houses. You just sound like a board member now.
I would take Strachan. I would actually take Strachan back.
Oh, fuck off. Fuck off. You'll end up with Adam Virgo as his assistant in that. Just no way, mate. Do you know what I mean? But we are where we are. And the chat's been lively today. We're going to call it there. But I appreciate all the views. To all those Rangers fans, you keep paying my rent. I appreciate it, boys, girls, whatever ones there are. Some of them's good banter. Some of them take it too far. That's okay. As long as you're paying my rent. Terry, though, I appreciate your time. Well done for front up. I appreciate it. And keep your eyes on... Oh, fuck knows. Keep your eyes on everybody. See you later.